everybody's really pissed off.
And so I thought the wisest thing to do, and the most exciting thing to do, was to give Abe and Munch a good vacation. You know, treat them well and say, look, guys, you get some time off. And then go, okay, you know, Steve, you're in the picture now. So, okay, here's what's going on, Raymond. You know, we got a new type of Minotaur.
I think that Steve is definitely capable of being both very, very frightening and also being very lovable and almost vulnerable in a way.
Let's start with like a horse body and more of a gorilla upper body. And let's start there.
And we start, you know, taking in his, start with a general sort of expression where he's playing his poker face.
And then what you found was something kind of traditional coming out of that. We go, oh, okay, let's cut out his whole midsection, shorten the legs in between the front legs and the back legs, and let's make the torso more human, but the arms more gorilla, and the head more like Clint, gene spliced at birth, you know, cross-fertilized with a lion gorilla. You know, okay, so Clint, lion, gorilla. Let's come up with a face that matches this guy. He's got to have horns.
EA Games.
Challenge everything.
Okay, here we are at town, close to the beginning of the game, and Stranger can talk to himself at any time with one GameSpeak button, and this will tell you what your short-term goals are.
Need to find that bounty store.
Now, if he talks to other characters...
Pardon? You tell me where the bounty store is?
Now what do I look like to you? An information kiosk? Get out of here.
They won't always be helpful, but usually you can get some information out of them.
Hey, I need to find a bounty store.
Yeah, might want to look for the big sign that says Bounty Store. What's your problem? Stand there, you think you're all ruffled up?
We're looking for a much greater sense of life from the characters, so even if we're bouncing into them or bumping them,
Hey, what the hell? What do you think of this?
we always want more entertainment and we always want more life. Now, you saw when I started to abuse the characters, they got a little upset. If I push that a little further... So, of course, you can't get any information if you rile up the town.
Okay, now look, we're coming out now and get back to work. So no more roughhousing and being a peckerhead, okay? Here we come.
If I go into a bounty store...
Excuse me. I need to know where the bounty store is.
Listen, son, it ain't that hard to find. It's not a big town, you know.
Here's the bounty store. If I go into the bounty store...
Hey there, stranger. You looking for work?
And I talk to the clerk, it'll bring up a series of options that'll usually give me the bounties that are available. Now, as this is at the beginning of the game, we're giving you one because we want to teach you the game, but you'll notice that alive and dead has two different values. And what we're doing is we're encouraging alive over dead because it's a little harder, and that's the way we like to do it. So if you bring them in alive, you'll get twice the money. I'll select Filthy Hands Floyd.
Hey, stranger. I need you to bag Filthy Hands Floyd. He's been pestering our wagons for months and saying he ain't even got serious yet. Head through the north gate until you find the wagons. Safely, I hope.
So if you listen to what the clerks have to say, they usually give you hints about what to do. And as I come back outside, after my objective has changed because I've just received a bounty, now my self-speak will change.
Yeah, I gotta find the north gate. Get us up to Filthy Hands Floyd.
So now this is a little later. Stranger's got his bow. He has a double-barrel crossbow. And when we say live ammo, what we mean is he shoots living critters, meaning he hunts them, but he also shoots them off his bow. This right here, right now, is a surge bug. And if I pull the trigger, it squeezes out an electrical bolt. The faster I pull, the more automatic. If I hold the trigger, it does an electrical surge. And I can use this to hunt little critters. And when I see little critters in the environment, they'll run away, but I'll hunt them. And when I hunt them and knock them out, and I pick them up,
You're fucking killing me, brother.
they become part of my ammo supply. I'll find some of them crawling around on the ground. I'll find others flying around. It's a thud slug. Some others crawling. Spiders. Each of these has a different purpose, and each of these plays differently on the enemies. I'll show you how that works, and we're heading there now. We also have some basic platformer-ish moves, not because it's a platformer, but we want you to be able to navigate very organic-feeling environments.
We heard you was coming, stranger. You gonna regret ever coming around our hideout.
You'll also notice I got a sniper shooting at me right now. If Stranger takes damage, you can shake it off so long as you have stamina. Stamina slowly generates over time, and it can also be gained by bountying guys. So I can shake off to regenerate my health so long as I have stamina. And once I get more weapons in the game, one of the things I can buy is a sniper scope.
Gimpy, you know how to use this thing?
It has depth of field on it, and I can focus in on my target. He's down there, a little clock. It'll also give you a little sense of the scale of the world. See how far away those critters were that I was just hunting? But they're still fully interactive. Moving right along.
You might have got past my brother, stranger. But you ain't getting past me.
Now here's one of the nice features about first to third. Normally, if I were in first person,
What are you doing, my brother?
I'd have to come out and risk myself to get a shot in on this guy.
Yeah, eat this.
But in third person, I can stay safe, see where my enemies are, align, almost align my shot, go into third person, charge up, and knock the guy out of his sniper position. Now, to bounty guys, I have a high-pressure bounty can, and I just walked up to them, hit the X button, and I bountied a guy. But he was dead because I knocked him out of a position and he fell to his death. Therefore, I only got half the value for him. I got $5. My melee attacks will help me break destructibles. I'll find hazards in the environment like punji stick traps.
Let's do this, huh?
I'll find other destructibles that if I break, they can alter my navigation, offer me new paths. Now here we come upon a typical outlaw hideout. And scale, as I mentioned before, was very important to us.
Hey, Gimpy, you know how to use this thing?
And as I look across this world, this outlaw hideout, and I zoom in on it, I see there's guys patrolling out in front, guards. This is part of the gang of the outlaw that I'm hunting. There's guards patrolling up top. I've got a listening device that I can buy. Sometimes they'll talk to one another.
Oh, should have eaten that fuzzle pie.
Puzzle pie. And sometimes that information is valuable if you just look around and listen, eavesdrop in on conversations. So there's a lot of outlaws that are protecting this hideout. You also notice the world is highly destructible. I've got one guy up here. He's far enough away from the others that I could probably take him out without causing an alert. But it did wake up this guy. Now he's looking around, but he's not going to find the guy that I shot because he's in a different location. So it'll just, in a little while, he'll just settle back down.
Crossbow, right?
In the meantime, I want to show you how live ammo weapon works. And if I was to go and try and approach this place through the main gate, I'd have a hell of a fight on my hands. So I'm going to show you some stealth abilities. Put a couple more ammo first.
My brother, what are you doing, my brother?
I still got my outlaws out in front here. Now here's something I can use to my advantage. I'll find it in the environment. This is hide zones. If I step into tall grass, I'll see a hidden icon appear. And that lets me know that, for the most part, I'm invisible to enemies, but they'd have to get really close to see me. I want to use two types of live ammo that are really pro stealth play. And that is the chip punk, and we call him the chip punk because he talks a lot of shit and that really pisses off enemies, and a spider bullet. And what the spider bullet does is wrap guys up. So I can bait a guy towards me by using the chip punk.
Stupid varmint! Rodents, I hate rodents.
I'll pull him a little farther in so he's into the grass and away from where anyone could see him. And I'll hit him with the spider bullet. Bound and gagged. I can pick him up for twice the value because he was alive. I got another guy here, and he's patrolling in front of punji sticks. I'll bait him in front of there, in front of the punji sticks, just to get a good setup, and then I'll use some third-person melee moves, which is my ramming ability, to knock him into the punji sticks.
I hate these things.
He's distracted with the bait.
Little beasts.
And killed by the punji sticks, but I only get half the value. Now, if you notice the radar, these guys are kind of panicked in here. When their vision cones go red, that implies that you can tell what their AI state is, and they're agitated, but they don't see anyone yet. So they're not sure what's going on. I don't want to go busting in on that place at that time, because that can really put me in for a hell of a fight. And I'd rather sneak into the place right now and show you more what this special ammo does. So I can watch the radar on my screen, even if I can't see the enemies themselves, and tell when they time back down into a normal state that allows me to do more stealth play instead of getting seen more easily. Now, if I look around the environments, I might find a way to sneak into the place rather than go through the main gate. And here, I have a hint. The wall is broken, and it looks like it's broken from an old pipe support column that is now held together by some boards. If I use a melee move, I can break those boards and create an alternative entrance for me to sneak into this compound. At times like this, the camera will sometimes really help and give me perspective of the world so I can see what's going on without risking myself. And I can see over here in the upper right now, there's a little guy, and I'm going to bait him in to show you another type of live ammo. Skunk bomb. I can bait that guy over with a chip pump.
Shut your mouth, you little rat. Rodents, I hate rodents.
And then nail him with a skunk bomb, causing him to puke. Now he's incapacitated. Knock him out. Bounty him up. For a silent takedown. So now I've infiltrated the place and still not caused any alarms. Picked off a few guys along the way. Now there's another hint that I see. This is another hide zone down here, tall grass. And another enemy patrolling up here on the platform. Good opportunity to use a thud slug. And a thud slug is like a medicine ball. I can knock guys around with that. So I bait my enemy over with a chip punk. And as he falls for that,
Little beasts.
use my thud slug on him, knocking him unconscious down into the hide zone for another stealth takedown. And still, I haven't alerted anyone else in this world yet. I'll see other things in the environment, like these fans. These fans can be deadly. And I can use my chip punk again to relocate an enemy here and pull another surprise on him. So here we go. We got one coming up. I want to just back off so he doesn't see me in the grass. He's falling for the bait and a melee sneak. But of course, I get no value because there's no body to bag. But I still haven't alerted anyone. Another type of live ammo I can show you is the fuzzle. And what the fuzzles do is they give me the ability to sort of leave living landmines. And I can stick fuzzles wherever I like, on the ground, on trees, in door jams. I can cover my back and be like, well, you know, a guy might come in here after me, so I'm going to leave him a little surprise. I can also lay them as traps and then bait someone to them. So this gang outlaw member, I'm going to bait him right into my little fuzzle trap. So the first and third is really nice because it allows you to get a more strategic position on the guys that you're fighting. Some of the upgraded weapons like the boom bats, heat seek. Spiders upgrades. Now here's a good chance to use a skunk upgrade. I'll blow apart the door and suck these guys out. Maybe try a upgraded riot slug on them.
Enjoying smacking my boys around, stranger? Well, it's not quite the party you and Boyle's booty gonna have, smacking it up in that cozy jail. Boyle's booty? Oh no, I ain't going back in the cell with him. Oh no, I got dignity. I ain't going back, never going back. I got dignity. You do not want to know. Learn the pieces, boys!
Now these guys are heat-seeking mortar firers. So they're firing heat-seeking mortars at me. And this is one of the places where my high-speed run really helps. And as well as my heat-seeking upgraded boom bats, even though you'll get these later in the game, but we want to show you how they work now.
In the beginning here, when we have the tombstones, we wanted to give this foreshadowing of there's a much deeper theme that becomes unveiled over time. So in a classic Oddworld way, we wanted it to sort of be lighthearted on one hand, and with comedic value. And the reason we do that is because the themes are actually so dark and dismal that if they're not lightened up, they could be taken too seriously. Then we show these desperate people who can't even, make ends meet any longer. And we designed them a little phallic looking too, so that they had again, a little bit of a, I can't take this too seriously quality. And the idea was to plant this theme in as a backdrop, and then we introduced the character of the hero, who's the stranger, and his plight with the outlaws and how he baits and traps these guys. And so from this point on, you'll be playing the game for many, many hours before you ever see that native culture that's in a desperate situation again. And we thought that was a nice way to sort of introduce something that's coming, then allow you to get into the game, start playing with some of the mechanics that are shown in this opening film, and then when it comes back to you in the game that you start to find these desperate people, the relationship to the stranger, and how all that unfolds, it'd be like, oh, those are the guys I saw in the beginning. Wait a minute, there's a larger theme unfolding here. We also wanted to get in all of the idea of how some of these live ammo approaches would work, and also Stranger's Lope, his high-speed run, and how he could use that to bait enemies into positions. So we used the spider in the opening movie, the spider boa. We used the fuzzles as a trap, and we also show the idea of how you're bountying guys alive. And so part of the challenge, I think, is always at Oddworld, we're always trying to show not just the story to involve you in the gameplay, but to show you what's happening with mechanics that are in the game and try to make them more cinematic and interconnect that in the story so it's really highly designed and interwoven. And hopefully, if we do that successfully, then you have an idea of how to play, as well as feeling very informed about what the game's going to be about. And then you start off hopefully knowing more about the theme, the plot, the central character, as well as have some ideas as to how it plays. And I think that's always a challenge, but it's something we always try to do, and hopefully successfully. So here we have the characters in the world. This is Stranger. These are townsfolk walking around, but Stranger, he's got game speak. So we've reduced game speak to one button, and if you press that one button and you're alone, it'll give you what your short-term goals are.
Need to find that bounty store.
But if you talk to other characters in the world...
Pardon? You tell me where the bounty store is?
Now what do I look like to you? An information kiosk? Get out of here.
They're not always cooperative, but they'll always have something to say.
I need to find that bounty store.
Yeah, what the hell? Come on, what's your problem? Stop that, Lanning.
So we wanted a world that reacts if you start messing with it, you know? And you can push that further and further and further, and I'll show you that in a minute and show you how it begins to escalate. Here's the bounty store. So stranger, going into the bounty store, you talk to the bounty store clerk, and it'll bring up a selection of options for
Stranger, you looking for work?
what your potential missions are. And you'll notice on the bounty screen, at the beginning of the game, we only give you a couple that are fairly linear to teach you how to and introduce you to live ammo. But you'll notice that there's two different values, and a value for bringing them back alive and a value for bringing them back dead. And alive is more money. So if you want to make more money, bring them back alive. So now if I come out and I talk to myself,
Yeah, I gotta find the north gate. Get us up to Filthy Hands Floyd.
it's like an automated voice log system. It's anytime you're in doubt, it'll kind of remind you what your mission was. And then if you talk to characters from here,
Know where Filthy Hands Floyd might be hiding?
Oh, lots of places for a guy like that to hide around Dead Ends Pass.
so you can talk to different characters and start to get more clues on where you might find, you know, who you're looking for. Let's go now to some of the core play. The stranger doesn't have a gun, and in fact, part of his character trait is he doesn't like guns. So he uses a bow, and the bow is a wrist-mounted bow that transforms into a double-barrel bow. And here's the double-barrel bow. When we say live ammo, we don't mean bullets or bombs or arrows. We mean living critters. And so this right here is a surge bug. And that's our base weapon. You could think of it like your pistol. It has infinite ammo. The faster I pull the trigger, the more it goes to rapid fire. I can hold the trigger and charge for an electrical upgraded shot that's more powerful. But what I'm going to use that for is start to hunt other critters in the world. And when I see little critters running around like this, these are chipmunks, and they'll start to run away from me. And I knock them out, I zap them, stun them, and then they become my ammo supply. And each of these starts to have a different effect on the enemies, and I'll show you that in a second. Some of them will be flying. These are thud slugs I can pick up. Some you'll find crawling around. There's some spiders over here. Each of these has different purposes. I'll show you what that is in a minute. The chipmunk, we call them that because they talk a lot of shit, and that aggravates the enemies, and that draws them out. So this is really useful in terms of drawing and positioning enemies and setting them up to bait them where you want them to be. If they're alarmed, if they think something's up, they're not going to fall for the chipmunk. But if they're calm and they're not suspecting anything, they will. The other live ammo type that's really useful is spider bullet. And what that does is it wraps a guy up for a silent takedown. So if I use the chipmunk and bait a guy out, I know there's a guy around the corner here, I'll bait him over. Okay, I want to pull him a little farther away so no one sees him. And now with my spider, bound and gagged, suck him up in a bounty can, a live takedown. I get twice the value for him. And then I'd head back to town and collect my reward. But on my way back to town, the environment will be the same, but the condition of it will change. So we really wanted that feeling that the place is changing. And we don't keep you in any one particular town for too long, but it becomes a hub to various bounty missions, and then you move on to the next stage.
When it comes to creating strange characters and strange worlds, few do it better than the aptly titled Oddworld inhabitants. And with a mysterious new game on the way, the company is once again creating quite a buzz. Let's take a look at what we can expect from Stranger.
I think you better stay out of my way.
Now that you've seen the trailer, let's throw it down to Victor, who's standing by with Lorne Lanning, the co-founder and president of Oddworld Inhabitants.
Thanks, Morgan. Look who I've got here. I've got Lorne Lanning from Oddworld Inhabitants. How's it going, Lorne?
It's going great, Victor. It's great to see you.
This must be kind of cool for you because you came from Hollywood, and now that was about 10 years ago that you started making games. Now look at games infiltrating Hollywood. Is it kind of weirding you out, or is it cool?
Well, the truth is, this is what we saw coming, and yet we saw more opportunity in games 10 years ago. So Sherry McKenna and myself, it took a while to convince her, but I said, this is what it's going to be. And I was a little bit prophesizing at the time. And here it is, manifesting. I think we can move ahead further in games than we could have in Hollywood. Now we're coming back to Hollywood.
Ain't that the truth? You guys are working on Stranger, and Electronic Arts has picked that up. I have to congratulate you on that. I think that's a great partnership there. Tell us about Stranger. It looks like a complete departure for you guys, different from Abe's and Munch's.
Yeah, it is. We wanted to do some experimentation. We wanted a clean slate to work with. We want far more action. We want a lot more edge. We want to up the intensity level of Oddworld. And so we created Stranger. Been working on it for 2.5 years. Really great crew, a lot of smart people, a lot of passion. And this time, this development's been a pleasure. So,
are we going to see Abe or Munch? Are they going to pop out? You're going to blow their heads off or anything like that in this action-packed thing? Or?
They won't be in this game. No? They won't be anywhere to be seen. No, this is a fresh new area for Oddworld. But it's on the same planet. So it still retains a lot of the humor sensibilities, but the gameplay is a very new direction for us. But I think people will find a lot of things familiar and a lot of things different, and I think they'll be surprised on a lot of levels.
I can't wait to play it. It's called Stranger. It's coming out next year. Lorne, thank you so much.
Thank you, Victor.
I got to throw it to Patrick and Morgan. It's Lorne Lanning.